Well, it's time to play ball. The Blue Jays are back in action with their regular season opener this afternoon in St. Louis. The first time either team will open the season with interleague play. So for a look at what to expect from the Jays this season, we're joined now by MLB Jays reporter Julia Kreitz. Julia, good to talk to you this afternoon. What do we make of the Blue Jays this year? We spoke to an analyst earlier on breakfast who said this might be the best team they've fielded since 2015. What are your thoughts on this team?
Thanks for having me on the show, Nick. Yes, it is definitely a different team from the one that we've seen in previous years, one that looks more versatile and who looks poised for success. I think that it's time to sort of retire the narrative of a young Blue Jays team and start thinking of the Blue Jays as a veteran team and one that is contending for World Series here. So we saw a very, very busy offseason. Acquired guys like Dalton Varsho and Chris Bassett on the pitching side for the starting rotation. And it does look like this team is more well-rounded maybe than the one that we saw in the American League Wildcard Series last season. So this is definitely an exciting time for Blue Jays fans, and they are going to jump right into it with the playoff team from last season here in the matchup against the St. Louis Cardinals.
Who do you think there's the most pressure on of the returning Jays? I'm not talking about the new guys. I'm talking Vladdy. I'm talking Bo Bichette, Alek Manoah, perhaps even. You picked a position, but what do you think? Who's feeling the most pressure this time out? Because, like you said, they were kind of the young guns. The rebuild was happening, but the time is kind of now.
The time is definitely now. If you ask this team, they will tell you that, to a man, they will tell you that there is no pressure. The pressure is something that you can control. And as long as you're doing your job, you should be okay. And this is a very, very talented team. That said, Alek Manoah is starting opening day, for example. I am sure that comes with a lot of emotions. We saw him in the Wild Card Series last year. He felt it a little bit. He was, struggling and grinding a little bit in that game. And so it will be interesting to see how he bounces back from that today in really taking on that role of a number one starter, of an ace for a team. This is a third place Cy Young Award ballot appearance here for him last year. And he's still also very young, right? He still has some development to do here. So I would probably highlight Manoah as a guy to watch, not in terms of, pressure or nerves per se, but he does have a lot to follow up on after a strong 2022.
And Julia, what about some of the new members of the team the Jays signed in the offseason? I'm talking, Varsho or Belt, et cetera. I mean, how different are they going to be? And for fans maybe just tuning in now saying, oh, yeah, the Jays are back. Who do they need to be watching for? What are the differences going to look like there?
Yeah, Dalton Varsho was probably the biggest or the trendiest here, buzziest acquisition of the offseason for the Blue Jays. He comes in, the price for him was pretty hefty. The Blue Jays gave up their number one prospect in Gabriel Moreno, as well as a fan favorite in Lourdes Gurriel Jr. But this is a guy that not only is he a left-handed batter, which is something the Blue Jays really, really needed, he is also one of the best defensive outfielders you're going to see. So the Blue Jays outfield right now is very good from a defensive standpoint. You add in Kevin Kiermaier at that too, and you really start to see the difference. When we shift to Rogers Center, this new and revamped Rogers Center with different outfield dimensions, that is also going to play a big factor. So a guy like Dalton Varsho comes in and he can hit for power. He can give the Blue Jays more flexibility in that lineup from the left side. And then also, this is just a prime defensive guy for the Blue Jays in the outfield. So I will definitely be keeping a close eye on him.
All right. And Julia, correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to remember that this time last year, a lot of baseball analysts were picking the Jays to win the World Series. We know they didn't get out of the wild card. What is the sense amongst baseball analysts about this team? Are they definite playoff contenders, definite World Series contenders? What should fans be expecting on the brink of the season, which, tees off in 3 hours?
Yes, I would say that there is a consensus that the Blue Jays are playoff contenders. The first challenge is the AL East in itself. The New York Yankees are extremely strong. They are dealing with some injuries right now, but you can never count them out. We have learned that from past seasons. The Tampa Bay Rays are coming back, and they are as good as they've been in past years. The Baltimore Orioles are up and coming. So the AL East has always been a tough division, perhaps the most difficult in baseball. And when you look at it this year, it will be very interesting to follow along. Now, The balanced schedule means that the Blue Jays are going to see these teams a little, fewer times than in years past, but still, it will be a huge competition there. And that is very much the first step. If the Blue Jays can come out winners of the AL East, that does make things a lot easier for them to move along in the playoffs come October. But we're so far away from that. There's still 162 games to go.
That's right. First pitch flies this afternoon in St. Louis, 4:10. Listen, Major League MLB Jays reporter Julia Kreitz, good to talk to you. I'm sure we'll talk throughout the season, but thanks for breaking it down at this point.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you.